when Google goes live, because this is Tuesday, and it's the Beck Scrum, and we have Sam and Nicola and Ben and Lester. Welcome all. Yeah, so we'll do our little sort of stand-up-y, scrummy thing that we do. Let's start with Ben, since you were in first. Anything to report? Anything blocking you? Any plans?
Yeah, I think perhaps all three. Maybe nothing to report, actually, unfortunately.
No worries.
But the other two, not the good one.
Right.
So blocking me. Yeah, I actually have something to show, and it has to do with the test environment. I think I figured out why I'm not able to do the VCR thing, and I've done some preliminary searches about what's going on there, but I haven't gotten an answer, but I know what the question is now.
Right, and this is for the website one project?
Not website one, sorry. This is for the Wiki
edu. Right, lovely. Yes. Yes. Right. Yeah. So you're making some progress there, but still blocked, but feeling more positive about it.
I think that's right. And there's a very brief thing that I if there's time, I'd like to sort of ask. I think it might have a simple answer.
Sure.
Which would be very helpful to me.
Good show. Good show. Any plans that you want to share?
Any plans that I want to share currently? I don't actually think so. Things are forming, but they're all pretty nebulous currently.
That's all good. Yeah. I noticed that Ryder was doing some work on or saying he was going to do some work on the Paranauts today.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I just responded to him, but I haven't heard back. So we may be doing some pairing later on today. I hope so.
Indeed so. Indeed so. Good stuff. Thanks, Ben. Let's go on to Nicola. How are things going with you?
Yeah, I did a Rails 5 upgrade.
This is on the local support project. Yes. It's all green. Wonderful.
Yeah, so green. I think that what I'm gonna do now is like just to put some comments on the things that I think that it needs more focus for the review. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, great stuff. Anything else?
And after that, I think that the map resizing that I keep saying that I'm gonna do it, but I was working with the Rails upgrade, so. Sure.
For the that's for the mobile view. Yes, so for the local support project. Yes. So excellent. Thank you, Nicola. Yeah. So my reports, things that have happened. Yeah. So actually, we had the last Scrum, and off the back of the Scrum, we dove into the sort of the blocker that Nicola had, which was. For the upgrading from Rails 4 to Rails 5, and we had a particular very strange bug in it. What turned out to be quite a complex part of the code where active model was being used, and there was some interaction between the complexity of the code and the way Rails 5 is different from Rails 4, and it seemed like we kind of lots of debugging there. It seems like we got to the bottom of it. I guess it's we can maybe see here. Yeah, there's so this is the active model. This that worked before, where you could just pass it in the initializer, was now not working, and we got to the bottom of that. It took an hour in the debugger, but very, very satisfying to get to the bottom of that. And now it's completely green. So the path is clear in principle to upgrade to Rails 5. As you want to draw my attention to some of the issues on it, don't you, Nicola? We've also got to consider some of the other things about. I guess I need to. I
think it's better to merge first what Brent did, and after that I will have to make some modifications to the migrations, because I will have to change the model and the migration, because now is from
so I guess the priority, I should probably review Brent's before yours, and then you will update.
And that way you will give me time to pinpoint some of the things
that sounds fine. Yeah. So other things that have been going on with me, was it basically that was the main thing? Yeah. And then it was lunch, and then I did discover how to use the debugger in Jupyter IPython notebooks, which I was very pleased to find. I'm still making slow and steady progress through our deep learning materials. I mean, slower, but slightly. At least I feel like I have a mechanism now with a debugger. So the details of that in the data mining channel. That's the main stuff. We've got coming up is the NHS wiki meeting. Another thing that happened, which it's kind of bizarre. We have a couple of channels in our Slack instance that are shared with other things. So, for example, the Wiki EDU project that Ben was talking about, we share a bridge with another Slack instance there. We created this one also with this group, I believe is based in Kenya, called Open Farm Collab. And through there, I met this person called Peter Webb, who invited me separately to a different Slack, which is, I assume they're based in the US. This whole Open Farm Collab thing didn't seem to take off, but I've just been invited into this thing here, and like they basically seem to have an entire Slack on open agriculture and software for it, and there's even bioinformatics and things in there. And I'm just like being all projects and crazy, and just they seem to be excited about having Agile Ventures connected there. So I know, Nicola, you were asking about bioinformatics, and I'm hoping to see if we can kind of connect up some stuff there. So that's kind of interesting. I'm a bit overwhelmed.
That's awesome.
Invited into a channel on cellular agriculture.
Cool, cellular agriculture?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
is
that's
that
like
open.
You know, I have
Slack open, or you were invited. You say
I was invited. I assume Open AGSTL. I mean, I'm assuming that this is something that one could request invites to. Look, there's a Open Agriculture Data Alliance, and if you folks are interested, I'm sure they seem to like want to get people involved from Agile Ventures. I've told them, please come and talk more about your projects in the new projects channel. So there we go. I think that's my report. Yeah, coming up, I'm going to do the NHS HLP meeting, although I guess I might be late on that as usual. That's our Scrum. We've got Lester here as well. Lester, if you would like to join in and tell us what you're doing or stuck on recently in technology terms, I guess Lester would not like to do that. Since he's dropped off. Also, of course, it might be a technical issue. But I was going to say, if there was any questions, I should have started with this. Anyway, nice to meet Lester. Ben, did you say, so we're now Scrum over, we're now in the after Scrum zone. Did you say you had something that you wanted to show and a question or something?
Yeah, very brief. I think it should be simple, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to mock environment variables, or I don't know if that's what you'd call them, that are set up in application.yaml, specifically with respect to the training stuff.
Yep.
So let me just share my screen and tell you what doesn't work. I'll share the entire screen this time. Okay. So here's the test. Can you see the?
Yep.
So what I've got here, I think I was just sort of shooting from the hip here, but it says before do, and I'm saying allow these particular variables to receive these methods and return these what I want the values to be mocked as from application.yaml, which they're not actually. So the idea is I want wiki trainings to be set as, or at least to be true for the purpose of this test, but not necessarily for the entire application.
Sure. Yeah.
I want these things all to be true so that I can, so when I go grab stuff with VCR, or either from the cache or from the web, it'll do so based on these values here, based on the system being in a state such that these are the values. And it doesn't seem to be working.
No. Okay. Yes. And
I wonder if there's a way to make that happen, because I don't want to change the config for the whole thing, because if you're running the whole test suite, it's probably going to require that the config be sort of what it is for the rest of the test suite. I just want to, for the time being, say, well, if the config was otherwise, an application.yaml. So, well, here's application.yaml, right? I've changed them now so that those values are, in fact, the ones that I'm looking for. But in general, they're supposed to be like, this is false, and these are just regular.
Yeah,
and this is common.
Yeah. Indeed. So I mean, I would say here, I don't know, I know how we do things with that sort of stuff in our project, or at least I can look them up in our projects and work them out. I guess what I would be looking for in the Wiki EDU project is what in any of the other tests does anybody already do that same thing? Which
Yeah,
maybe
I
you've
think
already
I
looked
sort of
at.
have, and that's where I got this from. But I think that I
Okay.
was mistaken as to what they were actually doing, because in this particular case, it doesn't work. All right, so
Right.
I'll just continue to try to
Yeah, although
work
I'm
that
kind
out.
of
It's a little bit of a subtle problem, I think. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, just if you so here I can see like they're saying allowing features to receive. I mean the right. I mean, so there's clearly right. Yeah, other people doing the same sort of thing in various places. And what makes you think that it's not working?
Oh, it's not working because if I run it, see, I ran it before I changed. If I run it just with that, it we have all these problems here with VCR errors saying it's not able to actually do it, because I feel like it's going and trying to get the stuff based on the actual configuration in the application.yaml. When I go and actually manually change application.yaml, the tests in fact do pass.
The tests do pass. Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. But so now, well, this relates then to something I was going to say related to this, which was that hearing you mentioned that WikiEDU uses VCR, I went and asked Sage in the channel there about VCR and the issues arising from it, because I think we've had complexities from that, and it was very interesting to hear from him that in the WikiEDU project that all of the so I asked that all of the VCR files that are generated are git ignored.
Yeah.
And so when you check out the WikiEDU project, you don't get any of that. And I think I also found the location with them. And then I was asking if they run into trouble with so the interesting thing there is that if you, what that means is when you check it out, when you run your tests or whatever locally on your machine, it's going to actually fill in some files in the fixtures directory that's going to take a snapshot of the network interaction at that point.
Yeah.
And then subsequent, maybe you already know this. I'm just kind of like rehashing it in my mind. And so there's the challenge we have for that in local support and website one, where we are perhaps we're making excessive use of VCR, is that people can be seeing tests pass, and it's because of the cached materials that they have, which are not up to date, or even they've written their own test. It's cached something that was like, the server was down, and it's cached the server was down. And so they keep running it again and again and again, and it's still being so. None of the changes they're making make any sense or have any impact because it's cached that thing. Now, what Sage said was that for his projects, basically they're the ones that are being cached are these more or less static queries to Wikipedia. It's interesting for you if you could just show the thing that you're looking at again there. I mean, you've got this VCR used cassette training load from Wiki. So, now the interesting thing about what you've got here is a kind of, I guess it's a feature test. It's loading this location. Presumably, this is hitting the local server, and then it's trying, like as a consequence of what goes in the controller, the model, and services, it's reaching out to some network things. Can we have a look at what's in training/load from Wiki? It should be under fixtures. And you've been looking at it already.
There we are. Yeah. It's quite large, this file.
Yeah. Can you go to the very top and we can just see what the initial request is for that? I'm particularly interested to see where it's requesting to.
Well, I think meta.wikimedia.org.
Right, so it's grabbing some. I mean, of course, and there may be multiple connections in there. Okay, but so the interesting thing is that what you're getting is, if you come back to the file that you've got that was where the
test
there.
So
these. You're trying to ensure that this feature of wiki trainings is set to be true when by default it's not true.
Yeah.
And there we go. And then training slide to receive wiki page and return that. And Okay. Yeah, I mean the thing, and you probably want to go off and look at this yourself now rather than have me witter on about it. But having said that,
oh no, I mean this is any kind of wisdom, because there are a lot of moving parts here. That sometimes.
Well, the thing that I felt immediately when you were showing me, I mean, if you want to just navigate back to that error page that you're on, where it's with the VCR thing popping up.
Oh, you mean this here?
Yeah, here. So if you just go back to the error message, and just scroll up within the error message a little bit, and here. So it's saying it will the first. Let's see. It's getting. Maybe you can just go up to the first one, 1.1. That's 1.2. There. So let me really. Oh,
sorry.
Seems to be jumping around a lot.
1.1.
Well, I thought. Do you want to? Can you maximize the size of that window to the screen so it doesn't overlap in a strange way? Like,
does that work?
Yeah. It'll make it, I think, easier to navigate. Anyway, just scroll to the point at which you ran the test, so we can see the first information that comes out of the.
Right. Okay. So that might be. That's kind of a lot, because I think it's going and getting a lot of resources.
Okay, but even so, I'm particularly keen to see the when we start and the context. Here we go. So this is the so hold on.
Let's see. This is where I ran it right there.
Okay, so we're running the features training translation spec. So we've got all examples of it. We even before that we've got terminated with exception, and HTML screenshot and image screenshot. And then we've got fail error. We've got a capybara poltergeist status fail error. Request to open this thing there that failed to reach server. Scroll down. This is a different. I remember you talking about these sorts of errors. Keep scrolling down. They seem like that's You've run it again since then. Okay,
right, so that's true.
Yeah. So we'll keep moving down until we get back to at least the VCR thing.
At least to the one. Yeah. Here we are. Okay. So now blah blah blah. Okay, blah blah blah. Yeah, you're right. I went up too far. Here we are. This is the stuff.
Okay, so just scroll up ever so slightly so we can see the beginning of whatever.
When it actually ran. There we are. Okay.
Okay. Coverage. Okay, there you go. RSpec features training. Yeah. So you'd fix those things. Now we're still getting this. I mean, this thread failure there that's popping up in the beginning with a timeout error. You were saying that when you hard code the changes to the YAML file, you don't get the test pass, and you don't get this additional crazy stuff?
As far as I know, let's go down to the bottom where that happened.
Let's please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Well, this is the answer to your question. See, there's no.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So we get Yeah. I was having to hold that. Can we now try and navigate back to the place that we were?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Excellent. I just so the HTTP request has been made that VCR does not know how to handle. Oh gosh. So HTTP. So it's. Can we stop it jumping up and down?
Yeah. Sorry about that. All right, here we are. I just didn't really. All right. Okay.
I was again hoping to get back to the point at the very top where we saw the first.
All right. Okay. That's kind of what I was trying to do. Let's see. Just a little bit.
Yeah, the staccato on mine. I wasn't sure what was happening.
Yeah, there's so much to get through, unfortunately. Okay, come on. See, it's made a lot of requests here. I mean,
no, that's right. And I think with the time delay, it's not clear from my view whether you're scrolling up or just slowly moving the screen up and down. But because the same
I'm scrolling up.
Because
there we are. Okay.
There.
So we've gotten back to
this. First we have these strange traceback things. Then and then so if we scroll down very slowly from here, so we have 3 of these which are in these connection pool things from the training loaders, and who knows, but I want to get down. I want to actually read the text of the VCR. So here we go. An HTTP request has been made that VCR does not know how to handle, and it's got precisely this line, and it's going there. Now, if you can you copy that that get, see what it's saying there? It's also saying here that there is currently no cassette in use.
and it's suggesting I make a call to that, which I do.
Well, no, there is already in the test. I mean, it's very strange. One, that it should say that there is no cassette in use.
Yeah, which is it isn't technically true, but
yeah, I mean, or at least it doesn't know about it. But yeah, if I would copy that precise URL,
yeah,
into like a text editor just so that you have it to hand.
Okay.
And what I would be one thing I'd be doing is I would be comparing that URL to the URLs that are in the file there.
You mean in the VCR?
Yeah, in the VCR thing.
Yeah.
I have a suspicion it will be the same. I mean, it almost feels like VCR has somehow been turned off there.
Which is odd, right?
But the other thing I was going to say was when you've got this really big high level thing that, okay, when I adjust the things in the YAML file, then the entire tests work, and I've got so you have the logical extension of that is that those the things that you thought were stubbing those things for the configuration YAML are not working in the way that you expect, which is
right.
But so what I would be tempted to do there, as you say, there's still lots and lots of layers. Like I would want to put a buy bug in the controller at the earliest entry point that the test is going to hit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And so, and then run the test and presumably hit the debugger before any of these things occur. And in that context, be doing, like, if we go back to the test that you've got. So here, like, I would be, what I would want to be doing is like, so this, presumably this training / editing Wikipedia Central's 5 Pillars Quiz 1 would correspond to hitting some control. There'd be some entry point into the Rails code. And I would then put a buy bug in there, stop there, and then be wanting to write features.wikitrainings ? And see what happens. You know what I mean? So like, all of these things that should be doing that. I mean, so that's two things to check on. What it makes me think is, big picture, is the VCR somehow relying on some of these things that it loads from application.yaml before you get to the point where you stub them out? Do you know what I mean? I mean, you've got that as before do, but you're doing like login as Basque user, scope user beforehand. That there's other things kind of going on.
And like, so maybe I should have that happen even before that.
Conceivably, I mean, although to check some of the other things, is it something about does the VCR configuration, which is presumably loaded before even the before block runs, is the VCR configuration being set as a function of application.yaml?
In which case, there would be no way to sort of change. Well, I still would have thought that, as in the course of running the code to do the VCR, the test that includes the VCR thing, it would take into consideration that these whenever these variables are being requested, the redirection is happening because we've set it up in the test, but maybe not.
I don't know. I mean,
obviously not. Actually.
I mean, the key thing there is that it's telling us, right, that it's not using a cassette. Well, what that implies is, if you think about it, like, we are using a cassette between lines 18 and 23, right? But presumably, it's still running in a kind of sandbox. Are there things that are happening as a result of particularly line 10 that's causing it to do stuff so that it's not in, or there's some kind of interaction there? I mean, I'm looking through the
possibly, although if I don't have it visit any pages in the test, it doesn't create problems. If this is like vacuous, then there's nothing. Then it doesn't care. So it's not like something else is doing it because it doesn't know VCR wants to do anything.
Yeah,
I mean, my suspicion was that it's I mean that it's timing out because it's trying to get too many resources. For some reason.
Right, but in principle, all of those resources should be coming from your cached load from wiki file. So there's actually, when it runs with the cassette, there is no network interaction at all.
So the fact that it's somehow thinking there isn't one is why it's doing all this stuff trying to go out on the web.
Those messages that you're getting there from VCR are, they're in a. It's basically. It's interesting that it says that it has no cassette. I mean, those kinds of warnings you often get with VCR saying, "Okay, we previously recorded this stuff, and that worked. We're now recording. You recorded these things, and you've requested us to sandbox your network interactions to only allow this specific set of interactions, right? And so what happened is then it's reaching for things to the network that that are not in its cassette. And but then the interesting thing then there it's saying as well, no cassette is in use. I mean, I think the particular thing, one, I would say it's maybe what we've got here is an interaction between the VCR and the the stubbing of application YAML. I agree with you that the things you've got on 12, 13, and 14, they occur in other places. I think the particular thing that we would want to be looking at is when VCR cassettes are being used in other tests, what other things are going on. So, for example, I've got a thing here is a Rails helper use. We've got here VCR. I mean, what we particularly want here is we don't want a model. We want a feature test rather than anything else, because that's the kind of thing that's going to be. That's what we're doing. Yeah. I mean, bottom line is, I'm sure Sage would be able to answer these sorts of questions much faster than me.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be this involved, and I thought it'd be like, oh, you need to set it up here, and that's why. But yeah, I was making some assumptions now.
But now look here. This is and I don't mean saying that by you shouldn't ask here, because I'm interested to learn how the VCR works. But do we see here so what we've got here? This is the critical thing: is we've got another feature test that both sorts out. It does some stubbing of features and it uses a cassette. But notice that this comes before they do login as admin.
Oh, it could be just as simple as putting the admin.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like
the login.
So yeah, I mean, I would move to lines. Well, you've also got that page driver browser URL blacklist. Yeah, who knows? Anyway,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
If I save that and try running it and see if that makes a difference.
Okay, so now I have to change application.yaml back
to the way that it was.
Yeah.
Well, you can always do git checkout application.yaml on the command line, and it will change all of the things back to the way that it would be on the branch that you're on. But
okay.
But anyway, if it's relatively simple, then
yeah, I don't. It's just a few changes. I probably should have done that though. All right, here we go. So now run the test. Where are we? Here we are. So let's see if that works. It might take
even if it does work, I would find it slightly surprising, as you were saying yourself. If you have there's sort of the causality doesn't seem to be quite in the right sequence there, because the error we presume is occurring because of things that happen inside the body of the used cassette, because you would think if you did a vacuous one, it didn't cause any problems. At the same time, we did have the actual output from VCR was saying we're not running inside a cassette, and so there's this, I don't know if there's some sort of weird interaction, maybe when the login takes place, there's variables that are read from application.yaml and then are referred to subsequently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why it made sense to me to.
Yeah, it took me a while to get there in my head about what kind of logic would need to be in the login thing in order, but no, it's still having the same issue.
There's one other thing I can try, but we'll probably do that offline, because at this point,
well, anyway, I think we
monopolized the Scrum. But thanks a lot for.
No, not at all, and I think we've highlighted this thing here. I was at least. I think it's a general good rule that if you can find an existing test that has the same sets of features and then replicate those sorts of things, and that's still not working, then that's a very good situation to be able to say to the project maintainers, okay, I'm sort of doing pretty much everything. Why am I getting this stuff? Good show.
Yeah.
All right, great stuff. Well, thanks, Ben and Nicola. Have fun with the rest of the day. And Nicola, I'll try and get Brent's thing reviewed and merged in. And see you soon.
Yeah, sure.
Bye for
See
now.
you soon.
Take
Bye.
care.